out of all the different sidekicks in animation, the minions from Despicable Me are not only some of the most popular, but ones that can easily relate with kids. They have a certain language with that gibberish, the way they speak, that just can connect acts to children in ways not many people can explain. Which is why that, as well as helping Will with his Despicable Me films, they have going to have their own movies. I've already did a retrospective last week saying how I really liked the first two films, and how I considered them to be better than the Despicable Me films. And then there is the subject of today's review, Minions and Monsters, to which this one decided to take an interesting approach. Well, this film takes place much even before the previous two Minions films. And honestly, I was curious when I first heard about it, and got really excited when I saw the trailers. Seriously, the trailers did a good job of selling me that this was just going to be a really fun movie. I know many people aren't extremely excited about it at first, especially since it takes place further along in the time. Further along the timeline before the previous films, but I don't know. I had a feeling that would make this film a more unique and interesting thing. And when this film came out last week, I was surprised to find that critics really like this one. And now I'm serious. As many people have been calling this the best in the franchise since the first Despicable Me, and this is and it even comes from some people that don't even like these movies, and yet they say that, you know what, this was pretty good. So that must mean they're doing something right. And after watching it for myself, I can definitely agree. I do slightly prefer The Rise of Gru for this one, but that doesn't change the fact that I still had a lot of fun with Minions and Monsters. The setup is quite simple. Where during their search for a big boss, also a tribe of Indians and finding themselves else in 1920s Hollywood, and then become film star as for Bright Brothers Studios. However, but after they're not are able to adapt to the addition of Sam, they are thrown out and continue on their mission to find a new big boss. However, one minion, James, as well as his friend and Henriette, had come up with an idea to create a monster movie, and then the upset a baby Cthulhu monster and a Goomy meets Urarel. Who knows how to get the best monsters for his or that movie, while having his own sinister intentions. So yeah, the story seems quite simple, and honestly, I think that's all this film really needed. Compared to some to the previous films like Despicable Me 3 and 4, or even Minions 2, this film does not try to overload itself with too many side plots. It has a main storyline of the main of 3 Minions wanting to make a monster movie. And it may only stick to that. In fact, I say that the film's trip, if movies in Hollywood, it is the feature's strongest aspect. The film pays homage us to the golden days of Hollywood, and the films that were cut out during those times, even making references to some of the first ever films made, in history, or some of the recognized star aspects. The film is meant to be a love letter to classic Hollywood, and the feature does a great job of portraying that. A good reason why is thanks to the humour. Like the previous films in the franchise, this film is absolutely hilarious from beginning to end. I found myself to be constantly laughing throughout the entire experience, where it was just offering in so many fun and unengaging moments. And what yeah, the humour knows exactly what its audiences is want, and knows how to deliver it. But I also think that the minions themselves are probably at the best in this film. The feature does a great job of showing how they are actually able to carry an entire film on their own without output. And this is especially the case with the main minion of the feature, James. Unlike the rest of the minions who are more all focused on trying to find a big bad boss, James is a more creative type. The one that is more interested in trying to tell story, or bring England to life, even though he is constantly looked down by the rest of his tribe for this interest. I was surprised to find how I really connected to James's in his character arc as he tried I used to prove himself and made this monster movie that he really wants. As a surprise it came, as much of a surprise as it was to me, James's ambition to make this movie is the heart of the feature. To show what it means to be a creative person that has a big dream and even ambition that might seem impossible, but if you put everything into it, it does not seem too hard and can easily be achievable. Or the other two minions in this trio are also really enjoyable. Or like Henry, with James's mischievous best friend, and that tries to keep James down onto earth. Or at the silent heart of hearing England that can't communicate through sign language, which I was really impressed as to see how they were able to handle deaf representation shown through a minion of all characters. But it can't be just us that trio. There's got to be a lot more minions, right? And thankfully they are. They are the main leader of the minions here is a minion called Dick, who, as his name suggests, is pretty much a jerk that often puts James's ideas down, and is the one that's most determined to finding a big boss. He and the rest of the minions end up coming across also robotic alien fit. It's a cool thought. While I will admit that the side plot, often did not offer for too much to the story, great, and it probably could have easily been removed. I won't deny that it's still a really fun and so I thought that it do a good job of to being engaging, and humorous. As for the rest of the side characters, so I really like the director Max as he's mainly meant to be James's mentor and to a role model to inspire. I mean, you to have a great directing future, and admire his creative personality. He's so as well as a solid inspirational character. So, and I also really like me. Technically, yes, as he does not come in until the second half of the feature, and the trailers did kind of spoil that he was going to be a plot twist villain. However, but that doesn't change the fact that he's still a really fun and enjoyable character in his own. Oh wait, right. And the way he can trick the minions to help him go along with his plan, making it fit. Can it seem like that he has the ambition to help them, and it can be quite engaging and charming, and very well done. As for the rest of the monsters, I will admit that the film's monster element doesn't really happen until the third act, which does make the title seem a bit more misleading. Because for a movie called Minions and Monsters, you don't end up seeing a lot of the monsters. However, but that doesn't change the fact that the monsters are still fun and enjoyable, or like the big red and blue ones that mean and you show themselves sidekicks, or the big giant iron monstrous Irene. In that was the big final boss for the feature. And man, Irene is probably some of Illumination's best animation. And I was saying that the film's animation is already amazing. Thing to look at. He does a great job of staying true to the classic Hollywood style. Oh, and even have some shots look like they were made back in the old days as old-fashioned features. But when Irene enters the feature, that's when the film gets really creative with this big gigantic slime monster with 1,000 eyes that serves as a great final boss. Us leading to an exciting, I think intense and entertaining climax. Seriously, I was having a great time with the film for the most part. But by the moment the climax came, that I was having the most fun with the feature. And I was enjoying every little bit of it. The climax did a great job of conclude the film and make it worth it for me. So overall, yeah, being like the previous films, Minions and Monsters is a really fun experience. And what the side plot with the other Minions doesn't really have much to do with the actual narrative. And the feature does not make the most of its monster element, and it more than makes up for it with an enjoyable, simple story or easy to understand, and highly creative animation, lovable and charming characters, there's fantastic comedy, as well as being in a home and great tribute to classic Hollywood, even if it can be chaotic at times. Of course, fans of the previous Minions and Despicable Me films will have a blast with this. Yes, and kids are easily going to eat this up. However, I would also recommend and this to die-hard movie buffs, as they might I end up finding something engaging with if the Minions tribute to classic Hollywood. The Minions have proven that they can make some fun and enjoyable features, and our tribute to classic Hollywood that ended up as nothing more but absolute cinema. And that's why I'm giving the film a really strong 9 out of 10. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!